All right. Welcome back. I'm going to give people a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes, to come into the room. It's a very abrupt live stream. Only gave a 5-minute notification. And I think it takes like a 2 minutes before the notification is visible or something like that. So people have had maybe a 3-minute notification. But I want to deal with this, what's going on in India. And there's always something going on in India. Y'all know the people of India are really victims of terrorism. They're constantly terrorized. Whether you want to acknowledge the fact that they're terrorized or not. The truth is, every time they step foot out of their homes, they have to face the fact that they may not make it back alive. They have to face the fact that today might be the day when they contract rabies. And all it takes is a bite. And they are told that they cannot defend themselves from these dogs. They are told that they are not allowed to touch these dogs. They are not allowed to harm these dogs. But these dogs have a free pass to harm people. And after they harm people, nothing is allowed to happen to these dogs. That's terrorism. Where people can't even treat their own community like home. Said several times, anybody disagrees, you can object. The whole point in humans carving out territory for themselves is to keep dangerous animals out. That's the number one reason why we create shelter, homes, enclosures that we can go inside of. The main goal is protection, to protect our very life. And in India, their home is worthless. What good is it to not have a dog inside of your home when there are dogs everywhere as soon as you step outside of your home? That means your home is still being invaded. Your home is also the community that you live in. It's not just your personal house. So what's next for India? Are y'all going to order people to keep stray dogs or a number of stray dogs inside of their homes? Do y'all know right now over there in India, their government orders them to feed those stray dogs? They are not to harm them, and they are ordered to feed them. The citizens of India are really treated like as if they're animals. The citizens of India are treated like animals by their government. And I believe their government is heavily influenced and controlled, basically, by Great Britain, by England, which is probably the biggest dog nutter country on the planet. So this story, this is a video of the father and the 14-year-old who died this week. 14-year-old was bitten by a stray dog, and he hid the fact that he was bitten from his parents. And a few weeks later, he started to show signs of having rabies. Shortly after showing signs, the 14-year-old died. He just died very recently. This video uploaded just 23 hours ago. And do y'all know also this week they passed this new rule in India, allegedly. New rule seen worsening India's stray dog problem. New rules seen worsening India's stray dog problem. And I kid y'all not, they're ordering people to feed these things. Now they go over the statistics, which are outrageous over there in India. The number of people, in India, the whole country, almost 6,000 people are bitten every day. And these are just the attacks that are reported. So these are people who go to the hospital or get some type of medical attention. I don't know how their medical system works over there. But almost 6,000 reported every day. That's pretty high, even for the population of India. Most people can't afford to report it, right? You got to be able to travel. Not everybody has a vehicle. And I would imagine that the poorest areas suffer the most bites. And they're the least likely to report it. Somebody over there in India let me know how it goes over there in India. I'm not too familiar with how it goes over there. But India alone, they say, accounts for about 36% of all rabies cases in the world. 30 to 60% of those rabies cases involve children under 15 who are less able to defend themselves against aggressive dogs. That is such a fact, they put it in this article. Have y'all noticed that a lot of things that we've been saying, or some things that I've been saying for a long time, you notice those phrases and things are starting to pop up in different articles here and there? I've been saying this forever. I've been pointing this out forever. And this is what needs to be focused on when you're talking about whether or not these things should be legal, whether or not they should be cold, and so forth. The question is not how often dogs attack, because they always try to minimize the frequency of attacks and project the number of attacks as minor or not something to really worry about. Or just 6,000 dog bites a day. There's over 1 billion people. That's not that bad. That's the thinking. But when a child is attacked, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to sustain horrific injuries, the worst injuries possible, and it's more likely that they're going to get attacked in the face. I just shared a story of a boy who recently had his face mauled, badly mauled. They're the least capable. They're the least able to defend themselves. The question is not how often do the attacks happen or do the bites happen. It's how bad are the attacks when they do happen. What are the chances of fighting off the attack, of neutralizing the attack? Well, when you're dealing with kids, zero. There's zero chance. They're pretty much helpless. Now, we saw some kids here and there throw their hands up and be brave and scare off some dogs. Good for them. Exceptions are not the rules. And even those kids, if those dogs attacked them, those kids would be helpless. They can throw up their hands and try to scare them off all they want. That's another irrelevant point. One thing that matters is how capable are they to defend themselves against a dog attack? They're incapable. And y'all force people to live with these things, just flooding their society every day. But anyway, back in 2001, they implemented what they call the ABC policy, animal birth control policy. As interpreted by courts, declared that stray dogs cannot be relocated. Stray dogs must not face cruelty, and stray dogs must be cared for. Check this out. What? Must be cared for, must not face cruelty, must not be relocated. So if you got a pack of dogs living right outside your home, you can't run them away. You can't relocate them. And if they attack you, you can't defend yourself from them. And you have to feed them. Yeah, right. I wish they would try to let me tell you something. They wouldn't be dumb enough to try to implement something like that here in the United States. Listen, everybody in the law know better than to try to implement something like that in the United States. I wish they would. Tell me I gotta feed a pack of stray dogs just living down the block. You out of your mind? Those dogs will be gone tomorrow. I can guarantee you, no matter where they are here in the United States. You heard me. I'm surprised those stray dogs still exist down there. Where is it? South Carolina? I think it was the Carolinas or wherever, Alabama. Always down there in the South, you got a few packs of stray dogs around those rural areas. Those are these country areas where not that many people live. Yeah, there are packs of dogs running through there. Ain't that many people live through there anyways. But if you have a whole swarm of dogs in our cities, I don't know of no place here in the United States is just going to accept that. And these are stray dogs? Get out of here. Now, under these revisions, stray dogs must be caught, vaccinated, neutered, and released back where they were originally captured. The 2000 rules also asks residents, welfare associations to care for stray dogs and feed them away from children and the elderly at fixed intervals. What do you mean feed them away from the children and the elderly? How are you supposed to do that? Children and elderly live in the neighborhood. That's where the dogs are. How are you supposed to feed them away from the children and the elderly? These rules are not even possible. They're not even realistic. So crazy, man. And you gotta feed them. Here, these people being attacked every day. Don't know if they're going to get attacked. Somebody in their family's going to get attacked today. Contract rabies. And you forced to feed them. These people are being terrorized. That's the long and short of it. They're being terrorized. Which is very crazy. Now, some dog organization, they say that sterilization increases aggression in male dogs. Sterilization increases aggression? That's interesting. A lot of dog lovers look at spay and neutering as, you know, the ultimate way to create a harmless dog. But she questions the intelligence of feeding stray dogs on the streets and in public places, blaming the practice for the attacks. Of course, she blames feeding dogs as the reason why people are getting attacked, just like that their government did a while ago, ordering people to stop feeding them. But yet you've revised the law that reinforces people and reminds them Puts more pressure on them to feed these things, especially at a time like now when they're carrying out these horrible attacks. A lot of them are being caught on film. I shared a number of them on Twitter. I got one here. If I'm not mistaken, this one. And it's an old video. This is that video I was talking about yesterday, where it shows the true reason why these things attack, why they attack kids. The true reason why they attack kids is because they understand that kids are vulnerable. They understand that kids are kids, that they're the young of the bigger humans. Okay, I want you to keep your eyes on this whole scenario from beginning to end. The dog is right here. You see it? Child is right here. Now it's edited. They're going to blur it out. But what I want you to look at is what happens before the attack. What happens leading up to the attack. These so-called experts say that kids always provoke these dogs. The experts say these attacks happen because the dogs are frightened, because the dogs are dealing with fear. Well, you can see fear. You can tell when something is frightened, startled, intimidated, or fearful. And you can tell when something is viewing something else as prey. You know what that looks like. You can see this dog looking at the child right now. See that? The dog is staring, is locked in, is fixated on the child right now. You see how it stopped moving? It stopped walking? That's what they call loading. Stopped walking, stood slowly. Yeah, he's fixated on the child. And then starts walking towards the child. Y'all telling me this is fear? No, that dog locked in on that child because of the child's size. It's because the child is so small that it's locked in. Everybody else looks older. This child riding a bike. These are clearly adults. So it's not paying attention to them. It's not preoccupied with attacking them, even though these people are faster moving objects. This person here riding a bike, moving very fast. They tell us that dogs like to attack fast moving things. That's a lie. They focus on things that look vulnerable, that look helpless, defenseless. So you got big people here, targets that look more difficult to take down all over here. So the dog ignores them, focuses on a very small toddler and starts walking over. You telling me this is fear? Look at that. That ain't fear. That's predatory behavior. Look at that. Constantly walking towards her. And because her parents have probably brainwashed her, have no doubt brainwashed her, they've definitely miseducated her, she points at the dog and walks towards it at first. But when she sees that the dog is being aggressive, she starts walking back. Then the dog attacks her. And it would have continued to attack her had the adults not intervened. You notice what a crazy place to live. Oh, down the block there's a 3-year-old getting her face ripped off. Oh, again? Hey, it just happened again this morning. No, that's predatory behavior. That ain't got nothing to do with no fear. That ain't got nothing to do with the dog being fed up. Ain't got nothing to do with the dog not being able to take it anymore. I don't see no warning signs or no nonsense like that. The ears are standing straight up. They're not back. They're not folded back. Can y'all see that? They don't even do that all the time. These warning signs these nutters talking about. Where you behaviorists at? God, I despise these liars. I despise you liars. And you're so pathetic. Your inability to just process stuff that's right in front of your face. Footage. You can't even process footage properly. And you're so spineless and cowardly that you don't articulate what's actually on the footage or in the attack reports. Instead, you regurgitate the nonsense that they tell you to regurgitate because they tell you that's what experts say. This is what we believe. Spineless cowards. And they tell people that they are not to harm these creatures. These creatures that prey primarily on the young. I don't think so. Go ahead and try that here in the United States. Matter of fact, try that in Ohio. Let's be more specific. Try that in Ohio. Try that in Michigan. Okay, we'll see how long that lasts. So I believe eventually, even the people in India are going to wake up. They say this is an old video, but it has recently gone viral again. They're saying that this actually occurred in July, early July. Pretty crazy stuff. It's pretty crazy how these so-called experts don't have to suffer any backlash. They don't have to answer to anyone. There's no governing body that makes sure that they are doing their job properly. Sort of like the World Health Organization and the FDA and all these different things to make sure that professionals are on the up and up and that they're doing their job right. And why wouldn't you have it in this case where the advice that comes from these experts can mean the difference between life and death, being permanently injured or mutilated or not? These are the one so-called experts who needs a whole nother body of people keeping an eye on them, making sure they're up on the up and up. And we're doing that free of service. I'm doing that here free of service. There you go. This is what we should have, but because y'all don't want to have this, because you just want to be dog biased, people are forced to do it themselves. Keep you on your toes. Hey, it's our pleasure. That's all people do everywhere. This is an article of that boy. And the disrespect for them to push a new rule like this at a time like now, especially when a story like with what happened to that boy. Well, actually, this surfaced June 8th of this year. Okay, that's still too recent. That's still too recent. And there's always crazy attacks going on in India. It's been crazy for a long time in India. That first law was enacted in 2001. Dog attacks between 2001 and today have increased all over the world. Why would you enact or try to upgrade something that you implemented in 2001? I mean, it's worse than that. The Dangerous Dog Act was enacted in 1991. Y'all know how different dog attack statistics were in 1991? So these people are dragging their feet. They're procrastinating deliberately. Two people injured in Auckland? What is this? Okay, that's an old story. This surfaced a few hours ago. 3-year-old girl and boy, latest in growing list of horror dog attacks in Maryside. I'm always sharing stories from this place. Maryside and sorry. Maryside, sorry, Auckland, that's New Zealand. A lot of dog attacks come out of there. Wales, all over the UK, man. Reported multiple dog attacks, one fatal attack this year. Was this just one neighborhood? Wow, 3-year-old boy. Summer, yeah. And they're going over some of the attacks that took place this summer or here recently, this year. I mean, if you just cover the attacks that took place this year in the UK alone, you're going to have a pretty sick list. And again, they're talking in response to this recent attack in Marysville. Now people saying that they should be banned. They should be banned. And forget about license. Forget about a license. What is a license going to do? What are you going to do to get a license? You're going to be forced to sit in a class where they give you tips on how to control your dog, how to get your dog to obey. They're going to give you tips and teach you what to do in certain situations. You can find all that for free right now. That information is all over the internet. The license thing is going to be a waste of time. That's just another loophole. Just to tell people stuff that they know already, that they've heard several times already. There's too much free information floating around here to be playing around with stuff like licenses. Not in the digital era, not in the Google computer internet era. We don't need no license. As if y'all housing some special information in these license classes. No, you're not. Listen to what these behaviorists say about dog behavior all the time. And notice you can find what they're saying in several places all over the internet. And that there's several people, other trainers, saying the same thing. There ain't no secret information that you're going to learn in no licensing class. So what we need to be talking about is bans. Bans. See, they don't start talking the way that I'm talking until after they've lost a lot of life. Until after a lot of people have shed blood in an extremely short period of time. And then you'll start hearing them having little brief discussions about bans. So the smart thing to do is to implement those bans long before the bloodshed in order to prevent the blood. Identify threats as early as possible, as far in advance as possible, to reduce the loss of life. And it's real easy to see the danger when it comes to dogs. It don't require rocket science. So I'm forced to conclude or suspect that it's by design, that you want these attacks to happen. You want the bloodshed. It's a sanctioned type of blood/human sacrifice. They prefer to sacrifice child blood. That's why dogs is the perfect so-called pet for them. They love the idea that dogs prefer to attack kids. They get off on that. Another reason why you can find them all over the internet endangering kids, newborns, toddlers. Nothing excites them more than the sight of a toddler with a massive deadly dog alone, where there is no adult in the frame, and the more you can tell that there is no adult even close to them, the more excited the dog lovers are. The more they appreciate it, the more likely they are to give it a like and a positive comment. I'm telling you straight up, these people get off. Their brain literally experiences pleasure at the sight of seeing a baby or a toddler somewhere in danger, in grave danger, with a creature that kills them regularly, that attacks them every single day. When you look at what they're doing across the internet, and you keep in mind the statistics, that's a crime. There's no way around that. Let's not waste time, energy, or thought building a sensory garden in memory of a little girl who was killed in a dog attack. No, don't disrespect us like that. That's disrespectful. This surfaced a few hours ago. They're talking about building a sensory garden in memory of a little girl. And they want to build it free of charge. It's the idea of some Freemason somewhere out there. Where is this place? Milton Keynes. I think that's somewhere in the UK, right? Sound like it might be an island somewhere too. What is it? I've heard that before. Milton Keynes. No, it's not Keys. What am I talking about? Oh, Kenneth. England. Yeah. I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Yeah, stop. You don't build no garden. You implement bans. You want to honor her memory or honor the victims of dog attacks? Implement bans. Do something that will work to prevent it from happening in the future. Nobody should have to tell you this. Lawmakers. No, what you're supposed to do is do something to at least reduce the chances of it happening in the future. Building a sensory garden don't do nothing to keep kids safer. What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing. And you're knowingly doing nothing because you want these attacks to continue. You want them to continue. Nobody who truly wanted them to stop, who truly wanted them to end, would do things that wouldn't help them to end, help it to end, or work towards the ending of it. So stop it. No, we don't want to hear about no sensory garden. We don't want to hear about no garden at all. Okay? Not impressed that it's an idea from a Freemason. Call us back when you have a ban in place. And don't play around with banning one type of bully breed. You better talk about banning bully breeds, fighting breeds. Isn't that what makes sense? For you to hear on the news, breaking news, fighting breeds are banned. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. What took you so long? Fighting breeds. You hear about dog breeds that were bred to do this, bred to do that. Then you hear about one that was bred to fight. You look at it and it's got massive muscles, a massive jaw, a head. What? You want to have a debate of whether or not it should be banned? Get out of here. UK dog attack, toddler attack while playing with friends. Do y'all know that law in India, it also told them that they were not allowed to euthanize the dogs. not allowed to euthanize them. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's enough to drive you crazy. And I guess this was a recent story. This surfaced a few hours ago. Another toddler. Some of these stories, a lot of people don't even notice that I share them because it's so many. You know, they'll ask me, hey, IHD, did you hear about this dog attack? You hear about that dog attack? And it'll be a dog attack that I've already covered in a live stream. But it's just so many stories. People, don't catch them. We're overwhelmed over here. All right, but another one in the UK. Another attack out of the UK. When will it end? When they're banned. That's when. Not until then. There's another story I talked about in the members area that seems to be going viral. About this 40-year-old woman who tried to stroke 2 Rottweilers that she saw a couple with. She was known as a big-time dog lover. We all know about these people. They're like dog lover Nazis. Oh, sorry about that. You know the dog lover Nazis. They'll break their neck just to get across the street to rub a dog. They'll cross 6-lane traffic, high-speed traffic, in broad daylight just to rub a dog. They'll risk their life to rub a dog. Well, she was walking somewhere, and she saw this couple with 2 Rottweilers. 2 Rottweilers. Rottweilers really are like bully XLs. They're just large bully breeds. Don't let these people, fool you with these fancy names that they give the mutations. You gotta learn how to identify the mutations yourself. Bully XL, all that means a large bully breed. Rottweilers are large bully breeds. She saw this couple with 2 Rottweilers, and she wanted to pet them. Went to pet them, and they mauled her. They didn't kill her. They mauled her. She went to the hospital. They patched her up, and they released her. I said, there you go. Be on your way now. You're good to go. Like a few weeks later, she dropped dead. She dropped dead in her own home from the dog bite. Now, they say it was a blood clot. But look, all we know is that she dropped dead. We're not scientists. We didn't conduct no autopsy. A few weeks after being bitten, she dropped dead. Just like the 14-year-old in India who contracted rabies. Just a few weeks after contracting rabies, a few weeks after being bitten, he dropped dead. No other animal is doing this to people. Where people are dying even weeks after being bitten. That lets you know how toxic their saliva is. How disease-ridden and germ and parasite-ridden these things are. They're so filthy that they house and produce stuff that's like from outer space. And these infections that we only see coming from dogs, I believe are exclusive to dogs and actually originate in dogs. That's why we never see any other animal with these infections, these parasites, germs, bacteria, fungus, and whatnot. These things are so overwhelmingly filthy and nasty. They should be disliked and despised just for how filthy and nasty they are alone and disgusting they are alone. You mean to tell me on top of all that filthy nastiness, these things are addicted and obsessed with attacking human beings? And they attack humans far more than any other animal attacks humans, and they prefer to attack kids. Kids are the most common victim. Make that make sense. These are supposed to be the most despised because they are actively the most aggressive towards humans. They're actively the most aggressive, and they're the most destructive to the entire environment. Yet this is man's best friend. And we're supposed to treat these things like they're some type of deities, like they're special, like their life matters. No, these things are worthless. Their life has absolutely no value. Their life is countervaluable. Their existence works against value. And we'd be better off without them. I know for a fact the majority of people in India would be happy if every stray dog in that country disappeared right now. I'm willing to bet over 50% of that country's population would be happy, would celebrate the fact that there are no more dogs in the country. Now, here in the United States, the dog lovers would cry. See, over half of our population would be sad and would cry. Unlike India, they'd be sad here in the United States. But then I would be happy. Seeing them angry and distraught and crying because all dogs have vanished, I would throw a party. Do you know how hard I would celebrate, how much I'd enjoy that? I wouldn't be able to hide it. My pleasure seeing them distraught over the absence of dogs. And, that's a possibility. One of these days, these disease-ridden mutants are going to catch something that's going to wipe them out. And it's pretty sad that COVID didn't work against dogs as pets, because it should have. I said back when COVID broke that dogs need to be the main culprits. Dogs transport more diseases, germs, bacteria, viruses, parasites from the outside into your home than any other animal does. That's an irrefutable fact. These things walk around with their noses planted to the ground, and they eat and drink anything rotten and disgusting. That's what they're actually looking for. That's what they're sniffing around for. As soon as they run into a puddle of vomit mixed with maybe excrement and a side of urine, they're going to take a big gulp. They're going to clean the pavement of that stuff. Land vacuum cleaner. They are disease creatures, period. They are the creatures of infection and disease. Historically, they've been associated with disease, infection, deadly infections. And we can see why. We understand why. Because to this day, people are dropping dead after so much as just touching these things. So I'm going to keep a close eye on India. I think it's crazy what's going on over there and how they're ignored. They're ignored on a global level even though they're going through like the worst living conditions. Them and some of those other countries over there where stray dogs run around everywhere. Man, oh yeah, Turkey's the same way. Most of those videos that I've shared on Twitter are in Turkey. Yeah, another reason to look at dog lovers as hypocrite or animal lovers as hypocrites. You know, they claim, oh, animal lover, and you love dogs. Dogs are the number one killers of animals. Dogs hate animals. They're animal killers. Based on the things dog lovers say themselves, dogs should be the most despised creatures on the planet and definitely should not be the most popular. And honestly, they might be the most popular. They might be the most popular. But I think it's interesting that they're the most popular, yet the shelters all across the country are overflowing with them. You have shelters with like 200 dogs and 10 cats. You know, that looks strange in a country where they're saying dogs are the most popular. And you look at all the promotion they put behind dogs, and your shelter is still overflowing with them. Okay, and you're saying dogs are only in 65% of homes in the United States. So there are plenty of homes without dogs that can have. We're able to clear these shelters out. That's very possible. And not every person in the country has to acquire one to clear these shelters out. So why aren't they being cleared out? It's because dogs naturally are unwanted. They're unwanted, annoying creatures. Nothing but a waste of finances and a stupid, unnecessary risk to yourself, your health, your well-being, as well as your families. Nothing intelligent at all about owning these things, and there are a whole lot of things unintelligent, dumb, immoral, wicked about owning them. So congratulations. Shout out to everybody able to join me for this morning rant. I feel better, and I'm going to go ahead and get my day started. Good day to you all as well. And I hope to see all of you back tomorrow. Shout out to Mr. Payne in the house. Mr. Grizzly, everybody up in here. I eat mutts. And who else we got? Tom. Music friend. Shout out to everybody. Moochie in the house. And I hope to see you all back on the next live stream as we continue with this crusade.